Hello, it's Ashton Lewis.
And I'm Daphne Lynn.
And you are listening to the
NDE World Podcast.
Welcome to the NDE World Podcast. I am your host, Ashton Lewis. In the studio with me, I have my lovely hostess, Miss Daphne Lynn. Hello, Miss Daphne.
Hey,
how are you today?
How are you?
I'm absolutely fantastic. Thank you. Looking forward to the Universal Divine Oneness lesson today, the UDO stuff that we are learning. And today we're actually going to be covering the Christ consciousness. So I'm really looking forward to that because that is something really big that is in all of us and is something that we can all strive, to attain. What do you think?
Depending on where you are in the world, too, some call it Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, they do.
So it is across the board,
Correct.
An awareness, that consciousness, raising that awareness of such things.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to actually cover what UDO is, and UDO is really Christ consciousness, for lack of words, but what is Christ consciousness? So we're going to look into that today.
Let's check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, before we do, guys, don't forget to go to the website, NDE.world, for more information on who we are and what we do and all kind of cool stuff. And don't forget to go to the bookstore and join us on Facebook. And
That's
all kind
what
of
I
cool
was going to
stuff.
say. I was going to put a plug in for the new Facebook group and also the NDE World Podcast page where we will be uploading our episodes to and our guest episode, all of our episodes. Just put it that way. All of our episodes up to the Facebook podcast page. And then our group is going to be for interactions with everyone. So please join and let's get our community going and
Raise consciousness.
ask those questions to help raise the consciousness. And we'll hear from our NDEers. We have NDEers already in the group and everything. So most definitely join that group.
Absolutely. Well, let's jump right into it, guys. Here we go. Okay, now, again, we are going to be looking at the book, It's All About UDO, Universal Divine Oneness. And don't forget to go to the website, nde.world, to find more information on this actual subject. And you can also find the book that we're going to be reading from. Just go to the bookstore, nde.world, and hit the bookstore link and just grab the actual UDO book, and you can actually read along with us. So.
Read along with us, yeah.
Yeah. So let's dive right into it. Now, Chapter 2 is the nature of Christ consciousness, okay? And understanding Christ consciousness, a lot of people hear the term, but they don't, they may not really know exactly what it means. Now,
Right.
Let's define it. Defining Christ consciousness. Christ consciousness represents the pinnacle of spiritual awareness and the realization of unity with the divine. It is not confined to any single religious or spiritual tradition, but embodies a universal truth that transcends boundaries. At its core, Christ consciousness denotes a profound state of being where the individual experiences a deep sense of interconnectedness with all of existence and aligns with their highest divine potential. This state of consciousness is characterized by an unwavering sense of love, compassion, and wisdom. The term Christ consciousness, quote unquote, draws its roots from the life and teachings of Jesus Christ, who is often depicted as a divine figure and an example of spiritual enlightenment. Jesus' teachings centered around love, forgiveness, and compassion are seen as expressions of this higher state of consciousness. However, the concept of Christ consciousness is not exclusive to Christianity. It represents a universal truth that resonates with various spiritual traditions, each offering a unique perspective on this divine state. Daphne?
This is amazing. We really have to align with our highest divine potential. And it's what it's about, just it's that state of being where we can experience a deep sense of just connection with all things, and realizing that we are one with all things. We are that individuation, that spark of the divine that is in all things. And when we can become aware of this and start living in harmony with all things, it just gives us such a greater appreciation for love and the wisdom that can be attained and experienced and expressed.
Yeah, I like how you said that. Well said, well said.
This consciousness draws from the teachings of what we are calling Jesus Christ, which is a divine master, an ascended master who set the spiritual standard. He was a truly enlightened soul, was aware of his connectedness with one and all things, and was sharing that with others. That we need to go within to find this. It's not something external.
Right.
But through time, of course, that's got twisted and mangled up. So
absolutely,
and lost a lot of its fervor. But
yeah, which is actually, you can probably start a whole series of podcasts just on that subject alone.
Most definitely.
Now, we have to understand, guys, when we're talking about UDO, okay, and it being Christ consciousness, the easiest way to look at it is everything is mind, everything is consciousness, okay? Mm-hmm. It's that simple. Now, everything is consciousness. You have a high frequency, a high level of consciousness, which is that what we call that Christ consciousness, that highly most evolved spiritual being that you can be when you are totally one with the all, UDO, okay, Universal Divine Oneness. And then there are the just the regular everyday consciousness like we all are in right now,
Right, yeah.
So we all have the ability to go within, like you mentioned earlier, and, focus on, like Yeshua and like these other masters have taught us, and go within, and you can build up the Christ consciousness within, that divine, consciousness. It's already there, okay? But most people, it's pretty smothered down, for lack of words.
Right.
It's pretty much suffocated or under the stronghold of the ego, I would say.
Right.
Most people are living under self-driven consciousness, motivations. Then I would say really a Christ-driven,
Right. And this consciousness, the Christ consciousness is specifically what we're talking about. It's not exclusive to just Christianity.
Right. People need to understand that.
It is broad, like you said, it's universal.
It is.
So this is something that's going to be through many of the spiritual traditions, and no matter where you are in the world, in your geographical location, there's going to be an awareness, that consciousness of your divine being.
And that's a good point. And keep in mind that universal, keep that in mind, universal divine oneness. Universal means it's everybody, everywhere, everything. It's universal, okay? It's not
just in this hard, physical, dense plane, but universal, multidimensional here.
Absolutely. And it's contained within laws that regulate the universe. Now, as long as you are working in harmony with nature and the universe and universal laws, you're working in harmony with the divine. Now, keep in mind, it's not just called Christ consciousness. We're only calling it Christ consciousness because that's what most people in modern times are familiar with the term. A lot of people may not be familiar with, concept of universal divine oneness or even the word UDO.
Right.
This is all new to a lot of people, or Udodian,
Right.
Or Udodian mystic, So we are using UDO because we are referring to universal divine oneness, The only reason we're using Christ consciousness, and Jesus is not the only one who was able to attain Christ consciousness,
Right.
They're only referring to Jesus within this context of it being called Christ consciousness, if that makes any sense. So,
most
and that
definitely.
tricks a lot of people to think that Jesus is the only one who was able to meditate and gain higher, consciousness and be able to do the things he does. But the truth is there are many upon many upon many, even historically recorded, that's done the same things that he has and even more, So let's take a look at the historical and spiritual context when we're talking about the Christ consciousness. Now, to fully grasp the significance of Christ consciousness, it is essential to explore its historical and spiritual context. In Christianity, quote unquote, Christ consciousness is often associated with the teachings and example of Jesus Christ. According to Christian belief, Jesus embodied the divine qualities of love, mercy, and wisdom, and his life serves as a model for attaining this higher state of consciousness. His teachings emphasize the importance of love and forgiveness, advocating for a life lived in harmony with divine principles.
With this being brought out, this is just so reminding me of one of our posts from the group very recently about love. How many of the divine masters spoke of love?
That's what they taught.
That's what they taught, from Buddha to Lao Tzu, Rumi, I don't know how to say that. Rumi,
yeah.
the Confucius, Socrates, Krishna, the Prophet Muhammad. They are all speaking of love. Love. They all set the example. So there's some of these date way, way before
Christianity.
the Christian faith ever came along.
Right.
So this love and example has been set for generations upon generations and eons upon eons, because it is the way we are supposed to. Yes, it's the way that we are supposed to be living.
Yeah, you guys got to understand that. You got to understand the universal law of autonomy. You are a built-in unit when you come into this world. You have everything you need. You don't need religion. You don't need to be saved from anything. You need to learn how to live
In harmony
with divine oneness. Learn how to live in love. Learn how to live in peace. Learn how to live in compassion. Learn how to live in harmlessness. Learn how to live just to give. You've got to practice and do these things. Nobody's doing it. And especially in today's world of religion, on the NDE World Podcast, since day one, we've always said that love is really the true religion. You know?
Exactly.
It really is. People are lost. People are, and that's why we're here, is to really try to wake up the consciousness of everybody,
It's not humanities, us as individuals, who are at fault, but the powers that be that have suppressed and pressed down the masses of humanity and dumbed us down. We are not aware of these things, and that's why we are here, to raise that consciousness, to help humanity realize its divinity and oneness. So we have to, and that's why I say so much on these episodes, we have to reflect and go within, strip away what we think we are, strip away our indoctrinations, what we think we know. Really go within and meditate. What do I, as an individual, truly believe in all matters, from faith to
anything?
Anything, everything. Really reflect on what you truly believe, because most of it is probably going to be from an external source.
Programmed. Yeah,
exactly.
You're running on programs, guys.
Yeah. So, and that's why we're here, is to help raise that consciousness of the oneness, that Christ consciousness that we all can attain. And when we do that, we can live in love, and that's when our world is going to change.
Yeah. When people start living by the way these masters taught. like Christ and all of them. They taught you how to live. However, religion has taken and twisted it up and said, you're worthless, you're no good, you're going to burn in hell, you need a savior. And no, this is not what these masters taught.
Right.
So we are in some really tough times, and what it's done, it's created a whole world of illusion. People really have no clue. And I like to say, I like to quote Gandhi that, if Christians had any kind of near the love that Christ had,
right,
the world would be a whole different place. I forgot the actual wording, but just something on that line.
Yeah, and I like this last sentence in this paragraph. It just really resonates, and when we can live this way, it's going to change our world. It says, the teachings emphasize the importance of love and forgiveness, advocating for a life lived in harmony with divine principles.
Yes, you can't get out and be practicing and sinning and all because you're saved, guys. You see, you can't. This is a walk. It is a divine goal, a divine mission, and you have to live your life in harmony with, and you have to be disciplined to walk the walk of UDO. Mm-hmm. But you can do it.
Love all, harm none.
That's all you got to remember.
It's the greatest saying for that.
Absolutely. Ties in with that love,
Exactly.
It says here, similarly, other spiritual traditions offer parallel concepts that reflect the universal nature of Christ consciousness. In Buddhism, the concept of Buddha nature represents the inherent potential for enlightenment within every individual. Buddha nature is the realization of one's true self and the understanding of the interconnectedness of all beings.
Wow.
In Hinduism, the concept of Atman refers to the true self or divine essence that resides within every person. These concepts underscore the universality of Christ consciousness and its presence across different spiritual paths. So again, guys, it's not just in Jesus. This is, people believe this across the board. They're just calling it different things.
Right.
And to be honest with you, these people are probably more in harmony with reality than I would even say certain other religious groups out there that have no clue of oneness or interconnectedness or anything.
Right.
It's, most religions, it's us
teach
against
separateness,
them. Yeah. So I'd be careful with that.
Yeah. And and I found on my journey, my spiritual journey specifically, that, like the Buddha nature and the Hinduism, these are all teaching oneness. Christianity is one of the main ones that pushes division.
Yeah, us against them. You either do it this way or you're cursed.
Right, and these other paths to the oneness, all paths lead back to the one.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It all started from somewhere and it all goes back to it. So there's many, many, many paths.
Right. You can't get around that, guys. And to be honest with you, and anybody that knows anything about the real Jesus or the real Yeshua of history, he was probably more Buddhist in his belief system and what he practiced than what we even would call, Christianity. In fact, if he was here today, he'd have no clue what Christianity is, because this is not what the actual original master taught.
Right, exactly. With you saying that, it really just reminded me of one of our guest episodes where he said that, or maybe I read it in his book, I don't remember exactly, but his angel and him were communicating, and he gave her a Bible, and she placed her hand on it, and because she didn't know what Christianity was, he was talking to her about it, and he said, "It's this," and gave her a Bible. She put her hand on it, and as an instant said, "This is man-made. This is not divine.
There's no truth
there's
in
like
it.
10% truth in this."
Right.
So we have to realize that not all books are the best for us, even though they claim to be of divine origin.
No book is.
True.
No book. Books can only help you and bring things to your attention, but ultimately You are going to have to walk the walk. You are
Right.
going to have to put forth the effort. You are going to have to be responsible. You are going to have to be disciplined. You are going to have to walk the walk.
And that's what Yeshua of history did.
That's right.
He took the journey to Tibet. He took the journey to India. He learned all these different traditions that were
greatest
taught
ancient
and
secrets.
awareness of spirituality.
Yes.
And that can be found in the book of the Nazarenes, where he went to these different places. This is taken out of Scripture because they have a set
Agenda.
this is what it is, and leave all this out. I mean, think about all the life that was removed from 12 to 30. Gone.
I use the term, have you ever wondered about the years,
missing years.
13 to 29 of Jesus?
Exactly, yes.
Well, we know what happened. We've got it because we've got access to the original documents, you know?
Yeah.
Guys, the original documents have nothing to do with the final Bible that has been, you know,
Tampered with.
put together over thousands of years. Absolutely.
It was
yeah.
for an agenda.
It was, and it still is.
But I like this. Continuing back with our path to Christ consciousness.
Yeah, let's talk
amazing.
about the path. Okay, how do you get to Christ consciousness, guys? Well, continuing here on page 9, the path to Christ consciousness. The journey to Christ consciousness involves a deep process of personal and spiritual transformation. It requires individuals to confront and transcend the ego.
What?
The ego is the devil, guys. We'll get to that later.
Oh, yeah.
Which perpetuates the illusion of separateness and fuels much of our suffering.
Yep.
The ego creates a sense of isolation and drives feelings of fear, anger, and jealousy, hindering our ability to experience true unity and connection with others.
Think about this. The ego drives those feelings of fear, anger, and jealousy. We talk about many times on here about raising your vibration. Fear is of the lower vibrations.
Yeah.
When you can set fear aside and live in love, because there is only fear or love. There's nothing other than those two that you're operating from.
Yeah. If I may interject.
Sure.
Also, we have to understand that and you're right, you've got the polarities. You've got fear and you've got love. Keep in mind that those are also umbrella.
Oh, most definitely, yeah.
Okay, those are umbrellas in the sense that, take for example, like we just mentioned, fear is fear, but what is fear? What all lives within that fear? Well, anger. Okay?
Jealousy.
People who are angry, people
Wrath.
who get violent, wrathful, yes. Jealousy. These are all what some people would call negative, okay, for lack of words, but no, these are all things that live and
In the
feed
ego.
off the ego. And
Right.
the ego feeds those things.
Like it
Whereas,
says, it fuels it.
yeah, absolutely. Whereas love, you have the caring, you have the loving, you have the compassion, you have the
Sharing.
yeah,
I mean, there's
the humility, the humbleness, the
giving.
yeah. So all of these, these are different things that fit under those two towers, those
Oh, yeah.
those opposing polarities, I guess, for lack of words. It's not like
positive.
just fear. It's fear, but fear drives all of these negative things, which creates all of the issues in the world.
Right. And we've got to really remember, from our episodes, from our guests, there are entities out there
That feed
feeding
off of fear.
off of fear. That's why we have to
Transcend it.
exactly start living more in love, because all we're doing is feeding those negative entities. And that's why the world is the way it is, because that fear drives these things and creates more fear.
Yeah.
Don't watch the news, people.
That's the worst thing you
create
can do.
negativity and hurt and pain and suffering.
Here's an example. What about the fear of, say, like the COVID thingy created? Because there was nothing to that. It was all made up for the most part, from what I understand. Just people get sick. Absolutely. They
The
get sick
diseases?
since day one.
People get sick, yeah, of course.
But
it was a fear-driven thing.
It was
yeah.
a fear-driven, yeah.
Yeah.
So as long as you're fear and living off of fear and fear-driven, you're feeding the entities, including your ego, but you're including the fear-feeding entities here on earth as well.
And I think about that with the different people that have had experiences with the COVID, since we mentioned it. There are people that did, quote unquote, lose their lives because of sickness. But it's the physical form. Life continued on.
Yeah.
We, as the living here in this physical plane, experience that loss. But that life continues on.
Right.
That it's experiencing a higher plane now.
Yeah, and we should have no fear of death.
Exactly.
Look how it's driven, though, even the medical world. Is it not to prolong your death? Is it to keep you from getting sick? What if you just live the way you're supposed to live and die the way, or transition the way you're supposed to? How much have we intervened with the natural world?
Right. And I really think about this too. The soul, when it's learned what it's came here to learn, it drops the body. Whether it's through cardiac arrest,
anything, whatever it needs to do,
car
it's ready to move
accidents.
on.
There's many ways that the body can be dropped. So
right.
When that soul has come and learn what it's needed to learn, it drops the body.
Yeah. That's my understanding as well. Now, how do we transcend the ego? Now, guys, keep in mind, your ego is the self. Okay, it's the illusion of separateness. It's the self. It's the Satan. It's the devil. It's the archetype of the darkness within you. Okay, we all have darkness in us, and we all have light in us. It's up to you on where you want to vibrate. Okay, you can vibrate in between. You can vibrate down in the dark. You can vibrate in the light. It's up to you. Okay, how do you transcend the devil within? How do you transcend the ego? That's what we're going to look at now. Transcending the ego. Transcending the ego is a critical step on the path to UDO. The ego, as the construct of the self, fosters a sense of separation from others and from the divine. It is responsible for the negative emotions and destructive behaviors that arise from the belief in individuality and separation. To move beyond the ego, one must engage in practices that promote self-awareness and self-transcendence. Any comments?
Yes, of course. In reading this, it is just so... My mind is saying, hey, Conversations with God covers this in depth. Yeah, we are responsible for getting rid of those destructive behaviors, those negative emotions. We have to rise from that belief that we are separate.
Mm-hmm.
When we can really start thinking and realizing, raise that consciousness that we are one with all things, it goes beyond what the ego says we are.
Mm-hmm.
And you can connect with the divine.
Yes, and guys, from my experience, research, and I'm still a work in progress.
Me too.
I'm on this journey with you guys. The ego will put up a fight. It's not going to be easy. There will be distractions. There will be things just happening in your life. So just be mindful that when you're on this walk, this path, just to stay focused. Now, what we're going to do. Just keep in mind, your main objective is to actually get a hold of the devil within. It is to transcend your ego, the illusion of you, okay? AKA crucifixion, okay? Or an exorcism, however you want to look at it. You have to kill yourself, all right, to get in harmony with, and that's not a physical taking your life.
No.
Disclaimer.
Right.
No, but you have to it's the illusion of self, okay? You have to pretty much destroy the actual illusion of self, or what we call the ego, or the devil within, to transcend to Christ consciousness, or UDO. Now, there are ways to do that, okay? And there's different practices and different ways to promote self-awareness, okay? Because like Daphne mentioned earlier, we have to go within, and you have to be aware of yourself. You have to be aware of this self or this ego before you can even do something about it. Does that make sense? If you're not even aware that you have an ego, or that you are an ego, or that you're filtering through ego, or that you're living as an ego, you really have no idea where to really even start. So it really starts with different practices, and we're going to go ahead and start sharing those with you here in a moment, to be able to start practicing self-awareness and going within to transcend, or that practicing self-transcendence. Okay, guys, meditation as a tool for self-awareness. Guys, meditation is so important, okay? Like it says, meditation as a tool for what? Self-awareness. Now, before we get into actually talking about the actual meditation, for self-awareness, let's back up a little bit and really talk a little bit about the actual law of self-awareness.
You know what? I'm looking ahead at the book here and just seeing the bold subheadings. Yes, thank you. In this section of transcending the ego, and it really just ties in with the law of self-awareness. We've been incorporating the Universal Divine Laws into this series. So the law of self-awareness asserts that understanding oneself is fundamental to personal growth, fulfillment, and success. It emphasizes the importance of introspection, self-reflection, and mindfulness in cultivating a deep understanding of one's thoughts, emotions, strengths, and weaknesses.
Okay, now let's take a look at this, guys. Meditation is a fundamental practice for achieving Christ consciousness. It allows individuals to quiet the mind, observe their thoughts and emotions, and gain insight into the nature of their inner experience. Through meditation, one can develop a deeper understanding of the ego's influence and begin to transcend its control. Okay, you see how that works? Various forms of meditation, such as mindfulness, loving kindness, and contemplative practices, offer different pathways to inner peace and spiritual awakening. Now, let's take a look at self-reflection and inner work. Self-reflection is another essential component of the journey to Christ consciousness, or UDO. It involves examining one's beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors to identify patterns driven by the ego. By becoming aware of these patterns, individuals can work to transform them and align their actions with their true divine nature. Journaling, introspection, and engaging in therapeutic practices can aid in this process of self-discovery and transformation.
Yeah, just these two subheadings right here alone cover the steps in the law of self-awareness.
Yeah.
So, and all of our guests have said that meditation and self-reflection, these are things that we have to do if we're going to let go of the ego.
Yeah.
And realize our oneness.
You have to. And also throw a plug in real quick. NDE WORLD, guys, the podcast, our main site, NDE WORLD. We have the bookstore, and they have the actual book that you're quoting from also as well.
Universal Laws.
I think it's like 300 universal laws and how to apply them. So that's available as well. When you begin the journey of UDO, guys, you want that book. You want to be able to understand how to work in harmony with the universal laws, because that is, the way this works.
And taken from Scripture, the Bible says that, it will be written on their hearts.
Yeah.
So this is something that we are born with. It is programmed into us from birth. We do not need external sources. But if you do need external sources to become aware of these things, use those as stepping stones. Tools.
Yeah.
And the universal laws, many of us may be aware of them and going over a lot of them like, oh, I knew that, but didn't really know that I knew that. So get the book and really check it out, because, I mean, there's so many out there that we can live in harmony with and achieve that oneness that we're talking about here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, moving on along to go with that thought, here's something else that's important. Cultivating positive qualities. Okay? And keep in mind, remember we had mentioned earlier about love and all the things that fall under love,
Right.
Anything that falls under that, do it. Don't even question it, Things on this side, work on.
There is no law against love.
Yeah, exactly. Well said. Yeah. That's true. Yeah, I think a lot of the greats had talked about that as well. I believe it is, even in the scriptures as well.
Oh, yeah, in Paul's writings.
Cultivating positive qualities. Cultivating positive qualities is crucial for achieving UDO, or Christ consciousness. These qualities include, guys, listen to this, love, compassion, humility, harmlessness, and forgiveness. They represent the divine attributes that align with the state of oneness and unity. By embodying these qualities, individuals can create a more harmonious and fulfilling life that reflects their spiritual values.
I love this.
Yeah.
I love this. It's so beautiful. I mean, I wish every human out here could experience this simultaneously.
Oh, yes. And we can. We have to work on it. People are looking for happiness out there, Daphne.
Externally, yeah.
Correct. You're not going to find it.
It comes from within. You have to start with loving yourself.
You will not find happiness out there, guys. There's no happiness in sex, drugs, rock and roll, anything materialistic, any money that you can chase, any kind of riches, any kind of materialistic gain, anything that's made of matter that's going to be dying and crashing and crumbling anyway in this world. Work on the inside, the permanent stuff, guys. What's going to be here
soul
for
growth.
Yeah, for the soul's growth and for eternity. The beautiful spiritual things. And what are they? Well, let's take a look. Love and compassion, without question, guys. Love and compassion are central to UDO. Love involves extending kindness and understanding to others without conditions or expectations.
Oh my gosh, yes. I love that, without conditions, because we are taught to love conditionally.
Conditionally, yeah.
When you can stop loving conditionally, when you can love without conditions. I love you, but if you do this, there's going to be consequences to pay. I love you, but if you do that, I'm not going to be with you. I love you, but this. I love you, but that. That is conditional love. Set it aside.
That's right. You have to, if you're going to get on the walk to be the highly spiritual person that you need to be. You have to. It's without question. I mean,
Yes.
There's no way around it. You have to love and be compassionate, because they are essential keys to the divine within. So yeah, that's the key. Love. Love is everything.
Love.
Absolutely. Daphne, in fact, why don't you read this little section right here concerning that, if you would, please?
Yeah, I mean, it says that it is the recognition of the inherent worth and divinity within every individual.
Think about that.
Yes. A
Guys,
1,000 exclamation points.
There's a nugget for you. Think about that. Let's just break that down just for a second, Daphne. When you recognize the divinity that is in every other soul and that their worth, okay?
They're God too.
Then they are God as well. When you can see that, all right, and see the worth in that person, that, hey, this is God.
Yes.
Experiencing however they need to experience
An
for whatever.
individuation of the divine.
Of the divinity, correct. Yeah. Very good. And it goes on to say, to tie with that, compassion, okay, which is closely related to love.
Mm-hmm.
It involves a deep empathy for the suffering of others and a desire to alleviate it.
Yep.
Practicing love and compassion in daily interactions helps to transcend the ego and foster a sense of unity with others. Comments?
Yes, I mean, and that's something that when we can transcend our identity as self and realize our divinity, realize that we are more than this physical avatar, this flesh suit that we are walking around in, when we realize that we are that consciousness within, and everyone else is as well, then it fosters that sense of unity in which is needed
the oneness
for us.
That's the oneness.
To grow as humanity.
Yeah. Moving on along, humility and forgiveness. Humility is the acknowledgement of one's limitations, okay, and the willingness to learn and grow. Some people can't be taught. They don't want to learn because they know everything. Guess what?
Oh, yeah.
That's ego. It involves letting go of pride and embracing a sense of openness and receptivity. Forgiveness is the act of releasing grudges and resentments, allowing for healing and reconciliation. Both humility and forgiveness are essential for maintaining a heart open to divine connection and embodying Christ consciousness, aka UDO.
Okay, this right here has a very powerful statement within it. It is right here. It involves letting go of pride and embracing the sense of openness, receptivity, being open to other awarenesses.
Yeah, embrace it. In other words, look forward to it.
Exactly. Embrace it. What do you do when you embrace? You gather and you pull in.
Yeah.
Putting it within.
Yeah.
What is a hug? You grab somebody and you pull them into your zone.
That's right. Good point.
That we have to be receptive and open to change.
That's right.
To let go of everything that we think we are.
Very good. Very good. Service to others. Service to others is a practical expression of Christ consciousness. Acts of service contribute to the well-being of the community and foster a sense of interconnectedness. Whether through volunteer work, acts of kindness, or supporting others in times of need, service reflects the divine principle of unity and reinforces the path to spiritual fulfillment. Compassion and empathy. Compassion and empathy are integral to the journey of Christ consciousness. Compassion involves recognizing the suffering of others and responding with kindness and support. It is the ability to feel another's pain and offer assistance, creating a ripple effect of healing and understanding. Empathy allows individuals to connect deeply with others' experiences and fosters a sense of shared humanity. By cultivating compassion and empathy, individuals can enhance their spiritual connection and contribute to a more harmonious world.
Yes, I love this paragraph too because, when we do have compassion and are aware of empathy, many people are empaths and very aware of their empathy. Some people are not so attuned into that. So, it allows us to connect with others in ways that we wouldn't normally.
Where we should be, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's really break down. I'm looking at the clock here. Let's break down the role of meditation, okay, and mindfulness, and we're going to get more into the actual techniques later on. But it says here that meditation and mindfulness play a significant role in achieving Christ consciousness. Meditation provides a space for inner reflection and connection with the divine, okay? It helps to quiet the mind and cultivate awareness of the present moment.
The eternal now.
That's right. Mindfulness, keep in mind, pun intended, there you go, the practice of being fully present and engaged in each moment supports the development of self-awareness and the transcendence of the ego. Together, these practices create a foundation for spiritual growth and the realization of UDO. Breath work and grounding practices. Breath work is another valuable tool for spiritual transformation. By learning to control and regulate the breath, individuals can influence their mental and emotional states. Breathwork practices such as deep breathing and conscious breath awareness help to calm the mind, reduce stress, and enhance overall well-being. Grounding practices such as walking in nature or connecting with the earth support a sense of stability and connection to the present moment. These practices contribute to the journey toward Christ consciousness by promoting inner balance and alignment with divine principles. Now, another thing, adopting a holistic lifestyle. Now, adopting a holistic lifestyle is essential for supporting the journey to UDO. This lifestyle involves making choices that align with spiritual values and promote physical, mental, and emotional well-being. The Essene diet and lifestyle, which emphasizes natural living and a vegetarian diet, offer a framework for nourishing the body and soul. And we're going to cover more of this later, by the way. By adopting healthy eating habits, engaging in regular physical activity, and creating a supportive environment, individuals can enhance their spiritual growth and alignment with Christ consciousness. How do we do that? Now, integrating spiritual principles into daily life. Integrating spiritual principles into daily life is crucial for maintaining alignment with Christ consciousness or UDO. This involves making conscious choices that reflect one's spiritual values and fostering a sense of unity and connection in all aspects of life. By incorporating practices such as meditation, mindfulness, and acts of service into daily routines, individuals can create a life that is consistent with their divine, natural, and spiritual goals. Now, there will be some challenges and obstacles, by the way, guys. It's not going to be a cakewalk, but keep in mind there will be these challenges. Let's take a quick look here. The journey to UDO or Christ consciousness is not without its challenges and obstacles. The ego, with its tendency to create separation and conflict, can be a significant hurdle on this path. Overcoming the ego requires dedication, self-discipline, and a willingness to confront and transform one's inner struggles. Additionally, external challenges such as societal pressures and personal difficulties can also impact the journey. It is essential to approach these challenges with resilience and a commitment to spiritual growth. See, a lot of people, they don't want to commit. They don't have the discipline to really, they'll talk about it. Oh yeah, I need to do it. Or I got to do it. Or they'll watch other people do it, or they'll read about it. But, they have a challenge in the commitment department.
And they don't take the action steps necessary.
Nope. Not at all.
I'm guilty myself at times.
All of us are. All of us are in so many ways. We are all a work in progress.
That's right.
We've got a couple more little subjects right here. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. It says maintaining commitment and persistence. Now, you have to not only be committed, but you have to maintain commitment. All right, that's the ongoing. That's where the discipline and responsibility comes in. Maintaining commitment and persistence is vital for achieving Christ consciousness. The journey is a continuous process of growth and transformation, requiring ongoing effort and dedication. By staying focused on spiritual practices, cultivating positive qualities, and integrating spiritual principles into daily life, individuals can remain aligned with their divine purpose and continue progressing on their spiritual path. Embracing the journey. Embracing the journey to Christ consciousness involves accepting it as a lifelong process of discovery and growth. That's the key, guys.
We never stop growing.
You never stop growing. You have to understand that it's a lifestyle.
And that's why so many people get unhappy, because they stop growing. They stop feeling fulfilled.
Yeah.
Because we are here to learn and grow as a soul, to experience.
It's ongoing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like it says here, it's not about reaching a final destination, but about embracing the ongoing process of becoming more attuned to one's true self and the divine. By approaching the journey with openness, curiosity, and a willingness to learn, individuals can experience profound spiritual fulfillment and alignment with Christ consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very good. AKA UDO. Alrighty, in conclusion, Christ consciousness represents the highest state of spiritual awareness and unity with the divine, AKA UDO. It is a state of being where the individual transcends the ego and experiences a deep sense of interconnectedness with all of existence. This is what happens during the near-death experiences. You know, the NDEs, they come back, and that's why I love talking to NDEers, because these are all first-hand experiences that share this phenomena with people. You know?
Yes.
Yeah. Achieving this state requires dedication, self-discipline, and a commitment to personal and spiritual growth. This chapter has explored the nature of Christ consciousness, its origins, significance, and the path to achieving it. By transcending the ego, cultivating positive qualities, and integrating spiritual practices into daily life, individuals can move closer to this state of spiritual fulfillment. The following chapters will provide further insights into the practical strategies for overcoming the ego, calming the monkey mind, and adopting a healthy lifestyle that supports spiritual growth. As you continue your journey to Universal Divine Oneness, remember that Christ consciousness is a state that is accessible to all. Mm-hmm. And by embracing the practice and principles outlined in this book, you too can achieve profound peace, joy, and unity.
Yes, and that is what we all truly deep inside want, is peace, joy, and unity. And what is at the top of all of this? Love.
Mm-hmm. You got it.
There you go.
Love is the key.
Love is all you need.
That unlocks the door. All right, thank you all for tuning in. Now, on the next episode, we're going to be looking into Chapter 3 of the book. It's all about UDO, Universal Divine Oneness. Chapter 3 says the origin and role of the ego and the birth of separateness. Wow, that sounds very interesting.
So we're going to have to tie some laws in with this one.
Yes. And we're going to look into how to actually understand the ego. What is the ego? I mean, we hear ego this, ego that, let go of my ego.
Let go of my ego.
But no, all jokes aside, what is it? Well, we're going to really look into it, start breaking it down, and get clarity on what it is, so we can start learning how to put things more in balance and perspective.
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah, very good, very
good.
And
and that's what I'm loving about this series that we're doing, because it's action steps, and how with our belief systems changing from listening to the NDEers and all their experiences with the divine, coming back, sharing those lessons, and the oneness and unity with everything, the true unconditional love that divine essence is, we can put into practices things that will help us transcend the ego, to live in harmony and in love with the divine in all things.
And you're not going to be able to really truly love. I mean, not questioning anybody's love. Love is love, but we're talking about that the agape love. Some call it agape love, however you want to say it. Tomato. That Christ love, that godly love, that love that these NDEers experience firsthand on the other side. And that's, well, guess what? We can experience that, but you have
without
to,
having to have an experience.
Yeah, without nearly getting killed. Yeah. So you can experience really good high states of consciousness, but it does take work. You're going to have to work at it. It is a discipline. Yeah. And the main elements I can see that really is really we're going to be focusing on, it would be the meditations, which really just puts you in a position to be able to self-focus,
Connect.
so you know how to, work on what you need to work on and get you back in connection with that oneness, that divinity, the meditation part. But the mindfulness, when you start to practice mindfulness, you start to really pay attention to the things you do, the things you say, the things like even little bugs, little creatures and things like that. You're mindful of life. You're mindful of all these things that you weren't really mindful of. And you start to practice, and well, if this little bug is a life, okay, it is God in its own little special way, experiencing life, then me as a mature spiritual UDOian or a person practicing Christ consciousness, I understand that little creature deserves life just as much as I do, okay? And it's my responsibility to take care of that little creature, not try to kill it, but help it any way I can. So I know that's just a small example of mindfulness. What are you putting into your mouth? Be mindful. When you go to the store, are you in aisles and at the meat rack looking through all these butchered dead animals that has no source of nutrients, no kind of value to your spirituality, and will poison your body in the meantime? Well, if you're not mindful of this, guess what? You're going to keep poisoning the body. So mindfulness means you're going to have to start being disciplined about what you put into your body, whether through your mind. You have to be mindful. Do I want to sit and watch TV on the cell phone all day? Do I want to sit here and play on these groups and chats and do this all day? I mean, be mindful of what you're doing with yourself, with your time.
What are you doing with your time?
Exactly, and that's where that's going to come in. And then the third element would be the actual diet and lifestyle, physically, mentally. What are you mentally eating? What are you physically eating? What are you spiritually eating? But you have to be mindful of that. But we'll really get into that. But don't forget to go to the website, guys. We got so much going on over there. NDE.world for more information on who we are, what we do, and all of that cool stuff, So, Miss Daphne, any final comments on today's episode?
I was just looking ahead at the next episode, the origin and role of the ego, the birth of separateness, and understanding the ego. I really think the universal laws that would apply to this would be the law of expansion.
Okay, we'll incorporate
so
that.
We'll definitely incorporate that in because it's pretty profound.
Okay, yeah, or any of them you could think of, feel free to throw them
most
in
definitely.
Well.
And from this chapter, love and just be awakened to the steps that you can do to achieve personal development, growth, that oneness with all things.
And start practicing this awareness, self-awareness and mindfulness, guys. Just start being aware of things. It's really that simple. Be mindful of things. And then as you become more mindful, then you have to make conscious choices to be able to work in harmony with those universal laws. But we're going to help you guys any way we can. We love you so much. Don't forget to go to the website, NDE.world, okay, for more information like we mentioned.
And the Facebook group.
And it's got all the information on there. Join our Facebook group. Visit our podcast page and feel free to come on in and join. And we actually get into the actual groups ourselves and interact with you guys. So any questions you've got or anything like that, we would love to hear from you and interact with you and talk to you and share that with you as well.
Most definitely.
Yeah. We love you all so much, guys. So much, so much. Thank you all for tuning in. May peace be with you. And until next time.
Y'all let your light shine.
Hello, you beautiful souls. Don't forget to visit the website, NDE.world. That is
NDE.world.